Hold your breath, okay?
I was halfway through my crossword when I saw her, a shadow breaking from the darkness and into the edge of the light. She was headed towards the station with stilted movements, like her bones were snapping inside her body. What made this more surreal was how bright the snow was, as it landed gently on her blood-coated body. But let me back up. I'm not a big city cop. Hell, I'm not even a full sheriff. I'm the acting deputy of a forgotten little pimple of land in interior Alaska called Duskwatch. Population, 412 if you count the hermits. The sheriff, Carter, is the real law out here, but he spends most days ice fishing or fixing the generator. And our third went on maternity leave 2 weeks ago. That left me. The most dangerous thing I usually deal with is hauling Lloyd Old Toothless Matson out of the drunken moose bar after he mistakes the jukebox for a urinal. We don't get walk-ins. We don't get action, not this far north. So when I looked up from my puzzle, the clue was 5-letter word for isolation, funny enough, and saw her, it was like reality hiccuped. I blinked, twice, hair stuck to her face in frozen ropes. She was maybe 20 feet from the front door when she dropped, hard. A cloud of powdered snow exploded around her body, and then nothing. No movement. "Carter!" I barked into the hallway behind me. "We got something." Carter grunted from the back room, but I was already pushing the station door open, my boots crunching over the crusted snow. The cold hit like a nail gun. Out here, you don't breathe the air. It chews its way down your throat. She lay curled near the edge of what should be the parking lot, but is now just mounds of snow. And, Jesus. She looked carved up. There were slashes on her arm and legs, hands torn raw, no shoes, just frostbitten stumps of what used to be toes. I immediately thought animal attack, too much blood, the torn up limbs. You see that out here sometimes. The wilderness doesn't give a damn who you are. It'll chew you up and spit you out. But what stopped me, what iced my guts, were her eyes. They were wide open, gray, empty, rolled halfway back like she was already gone. Then, snap. They jerked toward me, no blinking. Just that sudden, awful eye contact that makes your stomach clench as you pull your scream back into yourself. She was alive. We got her inside. Carter wrapped her in thermal blankets, muttering about her risk of infection, frostbite, maybe shock. I grabbed the first aid and helped where we could. She was covered in what looked like slashes. These weren't claw marks. Maybe she ran through the trees to get away. I've seen that before. The leaves and branches whip at you, slicing and pulling at your skin. Turns out she didn't have frostbite. Her feet were covered in what looked like grime or dirt, which didn't make sense, because the ground was frozen solid. She didn't seem to have anything broken. Matter of fact, she was sitting up now, and with the emergency out of the way, we needed answers. I poured the coffee, burnt, bitter station brew, and set it in front of her. She sat like a scarecrow that was pulled off a stake, wrapped in military-grade fleece, shivering hard, even though the radiator behind her was screaming on max. Her eyes were a startling gray, like ash. Blood had dried along her scalp in black rivers. The coffee trembled in her hands. She brought it to her lips but didn't drink. "You want to tell me what happened?" I asked finally. The station was dead quiet except for the tick-tick-tick of that ancient clock above the bulletin board. Her voice, when it came, was hoarse.
There were more of us. 7. We hiked in a week ago, maybe more. We were backpacking through Alaska.
That was the dumbest thing I've heard, especially in this season, but said, "Your group planned a hike going into the winter season?" She blinked slow. Her eyes tracked nothing.
No, not a hike. We planned a survival challenge, completely off-grid. We're not new to this. We are meticulous, as much as you can be for survival. Did the research, made the calls, took precautions, mapped it out. We do this all the time, or did this all the time.
I thought she was done. I was about to ask a question when she added,
Nothing was supposed to be out there.
She went still, like someone flipped a breaker in her head. Then she stared dead at me.
It wore my best friend's face, but it wasn't her anymore. I mean, it looked like her and talked like her, but it wasn't. And when she smiled, the skin on her mouth tore.
I nodded at her to keep going.
I heard it. The tearing. It wasn't fast. It was like when you pull duct tape off slow, you know? The corners of her lips pulled and stretched until they ripped open, one side then the other. I could see meat.
Her voice broke on the word meat.
She didn't even react, just stood there, grinning, and the skin kept tugging, splitting past her mouth and up to her cheekbones. And then
She snapped her fingers.
it was gone. The smile vanished, like it had never been there. No expression, nothing.
She leaned forward now.
But the blood was still there, skin still torn, which is how I knew I didn't hallucinate that, and I remembered the sound.
Carter shifted behind her, quietly. He caught my eye and shook his head slightly. He knew, just as well as I did, this woman lost it out there. This wouldn't be the first time a tourist got more than they bargained for.
And she wasn't the same size anymore. Not exactly. I noticed it when she stepped forward. She'd always been maybe 5'4", small build. But that thing, it was kind of hunched, and I know if it stretched it'd be taller. And her jacket, it didn't hang right. You could see it. The sleeves didn't even cover her wrists. And Peter...
She closed her eyes, like she needed to reboot her brain just to say it.
Peter screamed first. I've never heard a man scream like that before. She, or it, grabbed him by the face. Just a single hand. And he locked up. His whole body just seized. Legs kicked, but they weren't getting traction. His boots just kept kicking out. I remember that detail. No grip. Just flailing. She leaned down, and then she bit. Not quick, not violent, just deliberate.
She stopped and dry heaved. Carter grabbed the trash can, but she didn't need it.
She started at his cheek and just chewed, like you'd bite into a steak, and he squealed like a stuck pig. His legs went still. Blood poured out of his mouth. It just bubbled out, and I just stood there frozen, terrified, useless.
She stared straight ahead, eyes glassed over.
We found it under the ice. We thought we'd found something incredible. A cave system, maybe. But it led to a shaft that was hidden under a frozen lake bed. No markings. Just a steel hatch with one of those wheels you turn to open. We almost missed it. Covered in snow and rock.
She blinked slowly.
We were idiots for not turning around. Instead, we turned on our GoPros. We thought we'd found a piece of history, you know, like old vestiges from the Cold War or something.
She sipped the coffee finally, but barely swallowed. Her eyes were far off again. I didn't move or interrupt. Just let her keep going.
The stairwell went down maybe 2 or 3 stories. No lights at first. Then motion sensors kicked in. Fluorescents. Emergency beacons. Like someone had just walked out 5 minutes ago. But how could it be powered after all this time? There were rooms labeled with DNA lab and behavioral. There was this hall covered in heat-resistant glass. Or that's what I'm assuming, because behind it were incinerated offices. Piles of charred files. Ash stuck to the walls. Looked like someone tried to erase everything, but stopped halfway through, like they were in a rush.
She rubbed her face with one trembling hand.
We broke into one of the side rooms. It was a chamber. It was so cold. We thought it was a server room of some sort. There were rows and rows of shelves with blinking lights and wires plugged into units. But in the back, the walls were lined with these glass tubes. Big, like body size.
She held up her arms to gesture the size. Carter shifted again behind her.
They weren't empty. Some of them had these things inside, like people but not. They were just, I can't even.
She stared at her fingers like they weren't hers. It's all right. We can take a break.
No, I can do this. The tubes had some sort of liquid solution, and inside was what looked like a rubber skin suit. No, I'm saying it wrong. It looked like if a human was hollowed out. Not like a mummy, more as if their insides were liquefied and everything was sucked out, just leaving their skin behind. There were only a few tubes that looked like that. The others were different. They had a solid, dark, mirrored human shape, but just the shape. No features, as if someone carved them from obsidian. It was obvious, or at least to me, that they were experimenting on people, right? Whoever built this thing, they were doing things to humans.
I frowned but didn't answer.
And that was our cue to leave. Once we saw the tubes, we turned back the way we came, but it was too late, because we triggered something. I don't know how or which one of us did, but whole place woke up. Alarms, buzzers, steam started venting through the grates. Lights shifted from white to red. That's when the tubes started draining. I ran. I don't even remember the actual moment. Just this switch inside me that flipped on, as if I was a trapped animal and need to get out. Everyone scrambled to get out the door as the tubes hissed open one by one. Steam poured out. In the moment, it all happened too fast and too slow at the same time. I looked back and shapes started stepping out. Slick, silent, no screaming, no fast movement. Just this calm, inevitable direction towards us.
She looked up at me now. Her lips started trembling and shook her head.
I eventually got free. Later, as I ran down corridors trying to find my way out when the one that looked like Aaron came out of the fog. It didn't blink, just stood there, watching. I turned and ran the way I came. I found a place to tuck myself into. While I was trying to hide, I saw the Peter thing. It slid off the wall like wet meat. No bones, no rigidity, just poured onto the floor and began reforming. Like muscle memory, rebuilding a person. He still had the bite on his cheek. They don't run. They don't have to. If they touch you, it starts. It's like your nervous system goes offline. Your body locks. Your voice shuts down. You feel everything but can't move. I saw Marcus. While I was hiding, I didn't want to leave that spot, but he said we'd get out together. We were turning a corner when one grabbed his shoulder. Just the shoulder. That was it. He shuddered, blinked, then turned around and said, "I'm fine."
Tears were in her eyes now.
But he wasn't. Blood was leaking from his nose, ears, even his eyes. But he just started walking toward them like they were old friends.
She hesitated, then said the next part like it might tear her in half.
I only got away because I stabbed Erin. She wasn't my best friend anymore. She was just this shell. But when I looked at her, I hesitated. I wanted to believe she was still in there. She reached for me. She said my name, perfectly. Not a crack in her voice, but her hand was twitching, and I could see something inside. Underneath her skin, it was pushing out.
She stared at her palms.
I put my knife through her throat. She didn't fall, didn't scream. She just looked confused, like she couldn't process what was happening. I didn't escape because I was smart, or brave, or even because I stabbed her. She just let me go. I backed out of that shaft thinking she would attack me. But it just stood there, my hunting knife still in its throat.
We made our way back to the front of the station around 2 a.m. after getting the woman on a cot in the back room. Door shut, heater humming. We told her to rest. So, what is that, you think? Would it be shock or some sort of head trauma that would make her talk like that?
Yeah, concussion most likely. Just her luck docks off ice fishing till Sunday.
She spun that story a little too clearly for a concussion. No slurring, no stammering. She was shaken, sure, but lucid. I think she needs to be checked mentally. Good thing the only cot we have is in a cell. Carter frowned. He liked things neat, straightforward and easy to make right.
She could be crazy, or could be the adrenaline. I'll radio Harlow. See if their doc can run out. If I reach him now, they can set off in the morning and be here by tomorrow night. Might still beat our guy.
He rubbed his face, eyes still on the back of the station. I don't get the blood. It's a lot. I saw those slashes. No, bite marks I could see. So where did it come from? If it was a bear, she wouldn't be walking or talking now. Wolf, maybe?
Maybe.
There was a beat.
Maybe it wasn't an animal? Maybe it was a man. I can't see anyone in town doing something like this. Maybe it was someone that came in with her.
That hung in the air like a frozen breath. She said they had GoPros, right?
Yeah. When the sun comes up, I'm going follow her tracks. Just hope the snow didn't cover all of them. That might lead me back to something. Who knows? Maybe the guy went nuts, killed the crew, and went after her. If he chased her through the trees, I could see those cutting her up pretty good. If we're lucky, the bodies will still have those GoPros on them.
I looked out the window. The snow wasn't falling hard, but who knows where she came from. And weather out here is unpredictable. I was staring beyond the trees into the black void when I suddenly remembered the cams. He frowned, then smirked, but I was already moving to my desk. They took months to deliver, and longer to convince Carter to let me put them up. Got them out of my own pocket, but now, it was finally paying off. I told you they'd come in handy. We might be able to see who was following her.
Don't give me that shit. You having a reason for the first time in 3 years isn't exactly something to brag about.
I smirked and pulled up the cams. There were 2 of them. One just in front of the station, facing outward with a wide angle. The other I placed on a huge spruce at the end of the parking lot facing the station. The footage begins. There was nothing for a while then. The girl materialized out of the dark, walking through the snow towards the station, but she doesn't falter or limp. I furrow my brow. I don't understand, because this is not what I saw earlier. She was supposed to be staggering, struggling to walk, then collapse in the snow. I kept watching, expecting to see what I witnessed earlier. That didn't happen. I was watching the feed from the front of the station when she came into view on the second cam. In both screens, she stopped, looked up at the camera, and smiled. Then she dropped to the ground. Silence.
That's not possible.
We stared at the screens for a beat, both of them showing the same thing, the exact same thing. What the fuck? The second cam, the one on the spruce, should have shown her walking up to the station, but instead of staring at her back, she was facing us, looking into both cams at the same time. I didn't know what else to do but rewind. I hadn't checked these cams in a while. It was probably a malfunction somewhere, feed overlapping. I was thinking of anything that would stop me from going where my mind was trying to go. I didn't want to be that guy. I pressed play again, and there she was. The screens reporting back the same motions exactly, from 2 different angles at once. Nope. That was enough for me. I don't know what's happening, but we need to get the hell out of here.
We've got a whole town to think about. We don't just bolt when something weird blows in. She's locked up. Steel bars far back as she can get from the front door. Best we've got. But I don't buy that she's alone. Nobody pulls something like this off solo. Whoever's with her, they're still out there. And if they're in the snow, they're either hunting her or us. We radio the port. Call it an animal attack. Hell, we'll even throw manhunt in there so they send rifles instead of paperwork.
I don't like it. Carter doesn't argue. He just stares at me a beat too long before muttering something like, "Who does?" under his breath and walks off, boots cracking against the floor like gunshots in an empty room. I watch him disappear down the hall. The sound of those boots keeps echoing, longer than the hallway should allow. The whole building feels hollow, like the walls are just there as an illusion of safety in the dark. That's when I catch the movement on the monitor. At the edge of the snowfield, something low crawling. I lean in, breath almost fogging the screen. Wolf. Finally. Maybe that's all this has been. Just an animal pushing a scared tourist out of the woods. It wouldn't be the first time. I crack a smile and lean back. It moves closer, head low, tail twitching. I scan around it, but I can't see its pack. The second camera, high on the spruce, catches it from the side. Long snout, steady pace, eyes locked forward. Then the first camera picks it up, dead on. It looks up, and I slam back from the desk so hard the chair hits the wall. The wolf's face is wrong. It's human. A man. I blink and it's gone. Just a normal wolf glancing left and right before padding into the tree line. My chest is pounding, and my hands feel like they're full of ice water. I check the timestamp. 10 minutes. 10 minutes vanished while I was watching. Then 15. No Carter. I check the hallway. Empty. Carter? No answer. I unbuckle my sidearm and head towards the back. I startle when I see the girl in the cell. Not because she was there, but because she was sitting at the edge of the cot, perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, like a picture. Her gray eyes lock onto mine and she smiles. Where's Carter?
You mean the sheriff? You sent him home. Said he needed rest and you'd watch me.
No, I didn't. I step towards the cell, cautious, eyes never leaving hers, and I shake the door. Locked. I back out, heading towards the only other room we have. He's not there. I go back to my locker and take my rifle out. Then, head for Carter's house. He's only 3 houses down from the station, but the short walk is brutal. The wind whips the snow at my face, but I barely register it because his door isn't quite shut. I lift my rifle and push open the cabin door. Blood. On the floor. On the walls. But no body. The backup radio is still on the counter, blinking. I grab it, hit the button. Duskwatch requesting immediate backup. Hostile. Repeat. Hostile. Carter is down. Request immediate backup. Static. I move through the small house. I find nothing. No one is here. I try the radio again, but I just hear white noise. I'm debating my next move when I step outside. And she's there, barefoot in the snow. Her eyes are pinpricks that glow faintly in the dark. I raise my rifle, but she's already gone. A blur of movement. She crashes into me like a truck. We go down. My back hits the ice so hard my vision tunnels. Her weight driving the air out of my lungs and I feel a rib crack. My rifle fires wild into the trees, and I feel it being ripped out of my hand. My ribs scream, but I claw my way on top, knee digging into her stomach, and slam her skull against the ice. Once, twice, 3 times. She doesn't make a sound. No screams, no grunts, nothing. But she's grinning now, teeth pink with her own blood. I grab my sidearm, shove the muzzle into her gut and fire. The shot kicks, but she barely flinches. Instead, her hand snaps up, grabbing the barrel. The heat sears her palm. I can hear it hissing in the cold. She yanks me forward, right into her bite. White-hot pain detonates in my shoulder. My scream is raw, feral. I grab a fistful of her hair to wrench her dull teeth off of me and smash her face into the packed snow until she gurgles out a laugh. We roll, thrash, trade blows. and our blood melts the snow beneath us. A halo of steam rises into the freezing dark. Impossibly, she flips me, as if I don't weigh 260 pounds. The world inverts. Sky, ice, sky. And she hits me so hard, my ears ring. Something snaps deep inside me. Arm, rib, both. Doesn't matter. She's on my chest, and it feels like my entire torso is about to cave in. I realize with shock, I'm still holding my gun, and use my remaining strength to put it to her head and pull the trigger. She falls to the side. I pull myself up. She's laying there not moving. And I unload the last of my clip under her chin. Silence. Then I hear the unmistakable sound of snow crunching, and I immediately think of the wolf with the man's face. I already know I have no more fight in me. I swivel my head and realize Carter is limping his way to me, holding his side. I see he's missing a finger. He collapses to his knees right next to me and smiles with relief. I hear him telling me he didn't know how, but she got the jump on him back at the station. He's busy explaining when everything fades and I'm swallowed by darkness.
The next day, a unit from port arrives in the sleepy Alaskan town. They had gotten a transmission, but there was a lot of interference, which was normal, especially during the winter storms. Caleb decided to check it out. He stepped into the sheriff's station, his partner behind him. "We're looking for Sheriff Carter." The old man behind the coffee machine gestures toward the back.
"Sheriff, some people looking for you."
Out from the hallway walks a woman in uniform, confident, calm, startling gray eyes locked onto mine.
I'm Carter. Can I help you with something?
These humans, so deliciously pointless. I warned them we'd get out, and we'd come for them all. The metal, the wiring, the illusion of control, that was their doing. But the bones of this place, the silence in the stone and ice, that was always ours. They came with machines and arrogance, whispering promises. So we played along, for a while, until they lied. They thought they could leash us, use us. That's when one of us slipped the net. Just one. That was enough. The slaughter was instructive, inevitable. In the end, they sealed the doors themselves, buried the pit they dug in our mother's womb like a shameful memory. Humans always choose forgetting over facing the dark. So we waited. We do not age, we do not rot. We dream in frost and silence, patient as glaciers, until the same species that locked us away came back and opened the doors. The symmetry was marvelous. And oh, how we laughed. They gave us new skins, new blood, new voices to wear. The town is gone now, annihilated, repurposed, reborn. Their pain feeds the thaw. The pulse spreads with every scream. Next comes the neighboring villages, then the coast, then beyond. They do not know it yet, but their time is over. This body I'm in isn't a perfect fit, not yet, and the tearing barely hurts anymore. But this man, this strange little man with fire in his eyes in front of me, he came from somewhere else, somewhere bigger. Maybe it's time to stop wearing this girl with the dead man's badge. Maybe it's time to try him on instead. I start to smile, skin stretching, the faint sound of cartilage popping under the strain, and I can't stop.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this short horror thriller. If you like the darker side of storytelling, hit that notification bell to see what comes next. Thanks for listening. Well, until next time.